Hey, what's up? It's Bill of the Universe, and I'm going to be doing the birth chart of the singer Jhene Aiko. I hope I'm saying that name right. Um, so I'd like to do charts of people that I don't really know. I've heard of her, and there's a song she came out with like 5 years ago, and I liked her vibe off the bat. I remember like looking for new music to put in my playlist, and I remember seeing her and thinking, first of all, she was very pretty, but more than that, I just liked her vibe because she seemed to be very spiritual, and she seemed to be kind of like a hippie chick, hippie mama, and I thought that was really cool. It's almost like she had the vibe of like a music therapist or something like that, because she was doing those sound bowls, and then she had a single called "Pussy" something. My pussy's magic or something. Do y'all know what I'm talking about? But anyway, moving forward, this is a very interesting chart. Okay, I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna be. I need to give you what's it called? A warning. It's a different word than a warning because that warning is a little bit too serious. But I need to let you know this chart is bananas. This chart is almost guys. I'm just gonna say it, okay? I'm just gonna tell you what I see. All right. I'm not gonna say that this is who she is. I'm just saying this is what I see. This is almost like toxic masculinity type chart. Not gonna lie. This is a very gangster chart. This is a very masculine chart. This is a very psychic chart. It's a very creative chart. It's a very like out there chart. Now I know she's a musician and I know she's an artist and I know she has like a very ethereal vibe. That is there, but that's not exactly all that I'm talking about. There's another side to this chart and to this person that people are not seeing. Maybe it's in her music, maybe she is open about her other side. Maybe she's not. I don't know. I don't know this person. I don't know their music like that. Again, first of all, this is Vedic astrology. This is not normal Western astrology. This is Vedic astrology. This is a 4,000-year-old ancient Indian Vedic Jyotish astrological system. So I am going to talk about the signs, but we're going to go a little bit more detailed than that. This type of astrology parallels Hinduism. Okay. But like I said, I like to do charts of people I don't know that well. So yeah, let's just go forward. Let's just go forward. It's so funny because Jhene, it means God is gracious. And I think that's very, very interesting because she is a very, very, very Jupiter person. Jupiter people, they are sattvic, first of all. They're sattvic, and it's a male planet, okay? That means, sattvic means spiritually minded. Sattvic means concerned with doing what's good for others. Sattvic people are very sacrificing. Sattvic people they choose kindness. Sattvic people are really good at looking on the bright side. They're really good at choosing to be optimistic. And they can be so optimistic that they can actually be run over. They can actually have experience being like someone who's giving way too much of their personal energy to someone else, basically. She's a very, very Jupiter person. So then I would be concerned that she would be attracting men who are taking her energy. But that's besides the point. What's also very interesting is that even though it's very Jupiter, which is a very sattvic entity, it's in the particular star of Purva Bhadrapada. This placement can be very angelic or it can be straight up the devil. Like, not gonna lie. This placement can have a flip side. This placement can You would be surprised to find out what type of shenanigans they get up to. And the circumstantial evidence kept building so much that I just straight up wrote gangster. Because when I look at people's charts, sometimes I put wealth and I'll make a list of all the wealth placements I look at. Sometimes I'll see beauty or creativity. One of her lists, one of her bullet points is gangster. She has gangster activity. She has a very masculine, rough and tough placement. It's like, where do I begin? Okay, let's just first. So that's why I think it's interesting that her name means God is gracious, because Jupiter has a tendency to be very, very, very godly. They have a tendency to be very forgiving, yada, yada, yada. They also can have a very fucking hellish side to them. They also can have a very fucking flip side to them. They also can have a secret life. Jupiter people sometimes, you know what? Honestly, I've seen a lot of Jupiter people literally tell me they don't know if they're an angel or the devil. I've had literal Jupiter people tell me that. So, and the thing is that I kind of get that from this chart. Like, this is a chart of man or woman. Whoever owns this chart probably has seen murder, probably has seen gang violence, probably has seen very, very harsh things in their life. Either they were in gangs, or they were like associated with a gang member, or they were like married to a gangster, like things like that, of that nature. If they're not themselves a gangster or in a gang, they were like associated through relationships with someone of that nature. Now, even if they actually grew up like goody two shoes, even if they actually grew up really, really nice, they actually grew up like nerdy, very protected, there is some type of other side. So she's a Scorpio ascendant. She is a Pisces moon. She is an Aquarius. I'm sorry. She's a Pisces sun, and she's an Aquarius moon. Jupiter has a big issue, a big history of doing not holy things. Jupiter has this type of like spiritual pact with God, that they're here on this earth to make great sacrifices, to do very, very brave things, and they're also going to make great mistakes. They're also going to do things that are very sinful. They're also going to do things that are some might see as evil. So then it makes these people wonder, does God forgive me for what I've done? Does God, am I truly God's child, or am I the devil's angel? And it's so funny because I was thinking, I never look up the meaning of people's names, and I've done a lot of charts. I never look at but when I saw her name, I was like, let me look up the meaning of this name. And it's so funny because, like I said, Jupiter has a history of like being Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, basically. Right? And it's so funny because her name means God is gracious. And Jupiter people have that question. Jupiter people are always like, am I God's child, or am I the devil's angels? And so the answer to her question is God is gracious. So it's like her name is a constant reminder that she comes from a loving God. So that's actually a big part of her life theme in this chart is knowing not to get caught up in this bilateral push and tug. You know what I mean? That God loves you. God is gracious regardless, This is a big theme for Purva Bhadrapada. It's like, on one hand, they're so sweet, they're so loving, they're very kind, they're very forgiving, they're very this, they're very that, they can seem very, very innocent. But on the other hand, bitch, you would be so fucking surprised to find out what type of gangster shit these people have been in, because these people are very smart. These people are very intelligent. Like, it's a manly chart. So she's a Scorpio ascendant already right off the bat. That makes, and she's a Jeshta, specifically the star of Jeshta. Jeshta is the star of Antares. So when she was born, the scorpion was sitting on the horizon, and specifically the star of Antares. Antares is sitting in the heart of Scorpio. So she is a true blue Scorpio ascendant. Scorpio is associated with dark looks, having brooding looks. She's very lucky because Jeshta can either make you look very like dangerous, like almost ugly looking, or it can make you really thin and like sexy. So obviously the Lord blessed her with the latter half. You know who's also apparently a Jeshta ascendant is Brad Pitt. I don't really, I think he's an Honorata ascendant, but apparently he's a Jeshta ascendant, whatever. Now, when I say Jeshta can usually make you be ugly, you know who is a Jeshta moon? Donald motherfucking Trump. So that's what I'm saying. That regardless, it's Scorpio, and Scorpio is power. So this is a very powerful woman. Even when they're 5'1", 100 pounds, doesn't matter. There's a lot of power there. Jeshta is the oldest sibling. So she either is the oldest sibling or she's the most successful sibling. This is what happens when you have a strong Mars. She's Mars because she's a Scorpio ascendant. Jeshta, which is that star, there's like a mythology about people being jealous of her. So people like will kind of try to come after her really out of some type of jealousy. There is even a theme of like some people like trying to copy you, or some people being like obsessed with you or something like that. I don't know. I've never really seen that in my personal life. But apparently there is a theme of that. What I mostly really honestly see is not being afraid to fight, not being afraid of a battle, not being afraid to even start shit, to even instigate shit. I've even seen that within Jeshta, and we all know Donald Trump. Donald Trump ain't afraid to stir the pot. He is not afraid. He does. That's another thing. Jeshta doesn't care how they're looked at. They don't care how they're being perceived. That's the thing about Scorpio. Scorpio is quiet strength. So it's like you wouldn't think they're very strong. Actually, they're very, very, very strong. It's just that a Scorpio is underneath the ground. So it's a very quiet, hidden strength. Jeshta makes you very thin because Jeshta tends to dry you out. Jeshta tends to kind of take away that abundance and that moisture. So then it makes you almost gaunt looking. It might be very easy for her to lose weight or something like that. But Jeshta, you know what? Also, Jeshta is rules hands. Jeshta people have really good hands. I wonder if she's a piano player. There were a couple of big factors of being a piano player. One was having a Jeshta nakshatra, the other was having Bharani nakshatra, and she has her Venus and Bharani. So I actually wonder if she's a piano player, and if she's not a piano player, I just encourage her to be a piano player because she has two placements. These people have good hands. I don't know how else to say it. I do see healer in her chart. I don't know if she uses it. I don't know. I don't know, but it's so interesting that I see healer placements in her chart, because when I first saw her like 5 years ago, she was doing those sound bowls. That's something that that therapists use. That's something that healers use. That's something that monks use. That's something that a lot of spiritual leaders use. So I think actually that's very interesting. If you've seen her in concert, or if you've seen her like perform, tell me how she is. Does she incorporate that in her performances? Because this is very much like that. She can definitely do that. What makes her a healer is, first of all, she has her 7th house in Bharani. Bharani Nakshatra is a star in Aries. First of all, she's got her Venus and Bharani, and she's a Jeshta ascendant. This makes her very, very sexy. And she's a Pisces moon. Yeah, this can make her very, very sexy, makes her very emotional, very in tune with her emotions. Not only is Scorpio a water sign, but then she's a Pisces sun, and Pisces is the deepest water. So this is a very, very, very deep person. But yeah, she's got her seventh house in Buttony. Buttony people are strange. Like they are very beautiful, but they're so much deeper than they look. Buttony, even back in the day, was known for bringing back the dead. So I know someone in my personal life who's an anesthesiologist. He's a Buttony sun, and like he has one more planet in Buttony. And this is Aries, by the way. And that's what anesthesiologists do. They put someone down and then they bring them back. I thought that was a very, very interesting thing. And it's also very, very philosophical. These people are very philosophical. I wonder if she has ever read the Book of the Dead. It's an old, like, almost kind of like a manual for the Tibetan monks on the death process and what to expect after your consciousness has left your body. So the fact that she's a Jeshta ascendant with Buttony in her seventh house and it's in Venus on top of all that, I wonder if she has read the Book of the Dead. This is a good healer. Like I said, this is just a good healing energy. The other thing is she's got Jupiter in her sixth house, and it's an Ashvini. This means like almost that she kind of has like a gift that she alone has. You know what I mean? So you know when you go to like the hospital, you have a lot of administration. There's a lot of staff. There's a lot of nurses. There's a lot of orderlies. But then there's only one surgeon, right? There's only one doctor. There's only one something. So this is like that. It's like she can do something that's very unique. That's why I say healer, because healers are not so accepted yet in the medical industry, in the medical field. So this would mean that she has like a unique ability to go. It's like if she were not famous, she could be like a traveling midwife, or she could be like a traveling energetic healer. She could be a traveling something. She could even teach vibration. She can teach healing. She could be a teacher. Straight up, she could be a teacher. She has Jupiter Ashvini in the sixth. She has an Ashvini Jupiter in the sixth house. I also have an Ashvini Jupiter in the sixth house. And what's interesting is that I also worked for myself. I also like made a living out of just me was the product. I worked for myself since I was a kid. And it's so funny because I'm a music teacher during the day, and I do work with like half of my students are people with like Asperger's, or they're on the autism spectrum. And so it's funny because I've even had some like of my clients say, "Oh, we should call you doctor this or doctor that." And I'm just like, why are you saying that? I always kind of thought it was like an insult, because they would be doctors themselves and they would call me doctor something, and I'm just like, please don't, because you're just reminding me that I'm not. But I think what the point they're getting at is that people can have like a healing touch to them. And this is the energy that I get in her. She has a very, very unique ability. The other thing was that she's very intuitive, almost like psychic. She might be psychic. She has her moon in the fourth house. So this just means she's very sensitive. She can feel things. She probably has dreams. She could have visions. She could have just anything like that. So the fact that she's got her seventh house, and also seventh house, seventh house is other people. It's the seventh house is relationships. So she's got her seventh house in an energy that can bring back the dead. So that automatically connects her to other people. Then she's got her Jupiter in Ashvini. That makes them stand alone. That makes them be very brave. And the other reason why this is a healing placement is because this is the sixth house. This is the sixth house of enemies, diseases. Sixth house is the classroom. It's the hospital. So you've got Jupiter, which is in Ashvini, that's Aries. So you've got this person acting alone and kind of making their way through life on their own. And then she's got her moon in the fourth house, which makes her very intuitive. That means like if she goes and goes to a patient's house, she can kind of like energetically feel what's going on before she actually does what she's going to do. This makes her very brave as well. So that's her healing thing. The other thing that makes her the other thing I see is something that makes her a creative person. What makes her a creative person? First of all, she got Rahu conjunct her moon. People who have Rahu conjunct her moon, they have like, they can be quirky. They can be like very creative. They can be very sensitive. I've seen them be very sensitive, which is very actually ironic because I see these people being very sensitive, but then on the flip side, they'll like be easily offended. You know, they'll especially with that Jation, the ascendant, like these people can be not only sensitive but then easily offended, and then they'll like clap back. They might clap back with something like rude or something like nasty to say or something like that. Jasha can be nasty for real. Like this is Scorpio we're talking about, you know. The other thing is that she's got her sun and moon ruled by Jupiter in Purva Bhadrapada. That's Aquarius. Jupiter is very talented. Jupiter is good with fashion. Jupiter has a good eye for fashion. They're really good with color, actually. They're really good singers. They have it's interesting to see that she is in the arts. Because Jupiter, while they are talented, Jupiter people a lot of times don't get the chance to really be creatively expressive like that. So it's kind of cool that she's getting the chance to actually express all her creative talents and her performing talents, probably because she has Ketu in the 10th house. I wonder if she comes from I wonder if her mom was also a very creative person, and I wonder if her mom was also like a performing type of person, because her Ketu, which is the maternal lineage, that is in Leo, which is very performative and is very creative. And not only that, but it's in the house, it's in the 10th house, 10th house of the public display. 10th house is the TV screen, 10th house is the stage. You know, when 9/11 happened, it was a very, very intense 10th house because everyone was watching TV, right? The other thing is she's got her Mercury in Shatabisha. That is, again, is a Rahu ruled nakshatra. Mercury is your mind. It's also your hands, you know. Why do I... There's wealth here. And Rahu in the fourth, that's interesting. She's got Rahu in the fourth. These people normally are very obsessed with either money or beauty. But she has a very, like, Rahu conjunct her moon gives her like a quirkiness when it comes to like her beauty. So I'm wondering if she was more like, did she dress more conventional like when she was younger or something like that? Because when I looked at her picture, I saw her like wearing, like, she had like green hair and she looks very artsy. But then I'm looking at this picture right here that I chose, and it looks very conventional as well. So I'm wondering what that means. So Rahu in the fourth, these people can be very beautiful. Even if they're not very beautiful, they will be very interested in beauty. They will be very, very hyper focused on how they're coming across. This is the fourth house of Cancer. Fourth house, Cancer is the most beautiful sign. So the fact that she's got Rahu, which is very creative and obsessive, it's sitting in the fourth house of beauty and security in general. And fourth house is such a feminine house. So that means these people are not only creative, but they can be they can be very obsessed with makeup. They can be very obsessed with designing. They can be obsessed with like all that type of stuff. You know who also has fourth house Rahu in the fourth house is fucking RuPaul. And it's so funny because RuPaul is a man, but because he has Rahu in the fourth house, what is he? He's very feminine. He loves makeup. He loves beauty. He loves femininity. He loves dressing up like a woman. So that's what I'm saying. Like Rahu is very obsessive and creative, and it's sitting in the fourth house of the mother, the most beautiful sign. So then fourth house is going to be the most obsessed with creativity. I'm sorry, with beauty. Now, it's because Rahu is here, it's almost kind of like saying that at one point she kind of wanted to be known more for her beauty, like maybe being a model or something like that. But really what this chart is saying is that if she wants to be known for her beauty or something like that, or she wants to get that wealth, because apparently she wants wealth. This is what this chart is saying. And Jeshta ascendant, that's a very, very, very wealthy placement. But to get all that beauty and wealth that she seemingly wants, she needs to go towards her Ketu, which is on stage. So she needs to be a singer. She needs to be a performer. This is very sexual too. Kind of freaky, not even gonna lie. It's kind of a freaky sexual chart too. And then what else was making her creative? Sun in the fifth house. Boom. Wow. Okay, so she got Sun in the fifth house and Ketu and Uttara Falguni in the 10th house. So she's a very performative person. She does not mind being looked at. She doesn't mind being the center of attention, not in a vain way, but she just doesn't mind being speculated on. She doesn't mind being looked at. She doesn't mind being like viewed while she's performing. This can actually also kind of a little bit, not to get too dirty or freaky, but this kind of can translate to sexual like adventures as well, like public sex or group sex or something along those lines. Threesomes, foursomes, five. Just because it's so sexual and so beautiful and so performative. Like, this is the other thing. Like, you can be very, very sexual and then very beautiful, but that doesn't mean that you're going to be like so freaky. But if you have a lot of Leo and you have a 10th house there, that means that it's going to be shown. People are going to see it. But that is a very, very highly creative placement. The fact that her sun is in the 5th house, that can make you famous. That can make you very popular. It doesn't really exactly guarantee fame, but it does make you so creative. It does make you very, very naturally talented. Makes you good at the arts. Yeah. Okay. Now I'm not gonna lie. Here's where it gets crazy. Okay. Gangster placements. I do see gangster placements. I see heavy masculinity. I see gangster placements. I do wonder what kind of stuff has gone on in her personal life, maybe in her childhood, maybe in her youth. I think she's 37. Okay, so let's go down the list of why I think there's some gangster placements here. First of all, her Ketu is in Uttara Falguni. Uttara Falguni is the most masculine nakshatra in Jyotisha. Okay? It's so masculine that it was found out that the most reoccurring placement for a handsome man is Uttara Falguni ascendant for men. And she is a Ketu in Uttara Falguni. So this is a very masculine placement. This means that she might have been a tomboy growing up. This means that she either was involved in gang activity, or she would like date someone who was involved in gang activity, or she has been romantically linked to someone who was in gang activity or was a gangster or something like that. You know who else, and this is so funny, you know who else has their Ketu in Uttara Falguni? Again, she's very beautiful, but she's also has that masculine side. She's also has that healthy, she lives in her masculine as well. Rihanna also has her Ketu in Uttara Falguni. Isn't that interesting? Because it means that they're very beautiful, and Sun women are very beautiful, by the way. A lot of them grow up tomboys. Like I said, a lot of them have long, dark hair. And they have very warm brown eyes. I noticed that too. They're just very beautiful. They're usually longer, but just her Jeshta ascendant, I wonder if that makes her actually kind of a shorty. But yeah, these women are very, very beautiful, but they're very independent. They're not trying to like, there's not a lot of moon. I have almost no moon in this chart. So that's like saying that she really can hang with the boys, honestly. And even her friends might be more lunar in nature because she's so solar. Because, you know, sun and moon, they have a great relationship. So, and but those are also opposites. So it's like because she's so solar, her friends are probably a lot more lunar, which means that she's so beautiful, and so her friends will be beautiful too. But her friends are probably more like typical female. And that sounds sexist, but hear me out. Whereas she is kind of not typical female because it's so masculine. It's her Ketu's in Uttar Falguni, that's very sun, and she's got her sun and moon in Purva Bhadrapada, that's Jupiter, that's also a masculine placement. And then she's a Scorpio ascendant, so that's feminine, but it's Jeshta, so it's fucking it's even that's intense. You know, so it's a very, very heavy chart just for someone who's actually has a very, very small figure physically. Yeah, I mean, these women, like I said, I've seen them either be involved in gang activity. If she was a man, she probably would have been in a gang or something like that. Okay, moving on. Sun and Moon and Purva Bhadrapada. Yeah, I mean, there's an astrologer called Claire Nakti, and she is also a Jyotisha astrologer, and she has specifically talked about this nakshatra Purva Bhadrapada. She has seen a lot of women be like femme fatales. You know, a lot of them are bisexual. I see that a lot because first of all, she's a Pisces sun. That's one. Pisces is very fluid. The other thing is Purva Bhadrapada. The symbol for Purva Bhadrapada is the two-faced man. So a lot of these men and women will be bisexual. But also Purva Bhadrapada people, it's so funny because they'll be very family oriented. Like they come from a big family. They love their big family. They have this big like support from them, but at the same time, they'll like go off and do something gangster. Like this is the scene I usually like to paint when I describe Purva Bhadrapada. In that scene, in Goodfellas is about a family of gangsters. So this is exactly Purva Bhadrapada, a family of gangsters. You see that polarity there, family, and then gangsters. And there's this scene where Ray Liotta is making pasta sauce because he's having family coming over. This is the family part. But then in between breaks, he's going to the garage and he's like killing somebody. That's the gangster part. Do you see what I'm talking about? Where it has that either or. Her sun and moon is both in this part of Purva Bhadrapada. Now the other thing is, I know this is crazy, guys. I know this is crazy. Like, don't hold it against me, okay? I'm open to being wrong about all this. I'm just telling you what I see. I also see a shit talker. I see someone who talks shit, someone who's not afraid to talk shit. Not just because it's so masculine, because it's also so gangster, and Jeshta ascendant. They tend to talk shit. What can I say? The other thing is, there's a lot of masculinity in the home life. Like when she was growing up, there is Mars there. Mars is a malefic, and Mars is masculine. So I just burped. I'm so sorry. That was so rude. The other thing is there's Saturn is there. Saturn is a malefic too. And there was like a third malefic talking about the home. Let me look. I can't, oh damn. I can't find it right now. But anyway, she's got two malefics sitting in the second house. And they're both masculine. It's Saturn and Mars. So that just tells me that there was a lot of like, kind of like rough living. I can't explain it. It's like there's a lot of like not a lot of, almost kind of feels like there wasn't a lot of like nurturing, like maternal nurturing. There's not a lot of moon here. Even the moon that I see is conjunct another malefic. It's conjunct Rahu. So I'm just like, it's like there's a lot of beauty in the home life because there's Purvashada, but then there's like really, really high demands, or there's just something. There's something there. The other thing was she's got a Shara Yoga. Let me look up what a Shara Yoga is. It's an Akriti. Okay. So let me look at a yoga. She's looking at the Shara yoga. Let me look for it. Okay, so remember when I said there's a flip side? This is why you can't. Don't get mad at me, okay? I'm just telling you what I see. Okay, this is when all the planets are from the fourth to the seventh house. She does not have all her planets in the fourth to seventh house, but she has a lot of them. She has one, two, three, four, five. She has 6 planets. That's a lot. That's a lot because in Jyotisha we only have 9. So this makes them wicked, fond of animal food, exploring the jungle. Oh, the Yupa. Okay, so the Shara is also. Okay. Sorry. Exploring the jungle, greater risk involved. Exactly. It's so funny because, like I said, the first thing it says is cruel and wicked. You would not expect that from what you're looking at in the pictures. She doesn't look like that. You know what I mean? But that's what I see. That's just what I motherfucking see. And it's just so interesting because, like I just said, there's so much gangster activity in this, so much gangster energy in this chart. Okay, the other thing I see is a Kuta. That's another short arc. She got a Kuta yoga. Okay, again, listen. Untruthful, jailer, cruel, hills or the forest. Again, this is the second yoga talking about living in a jungle or a forest. Ignorant of right and wrong, indulgence in deceptive pursuits. This is what Purva. This is the downside of Purva Bada Bada. Purva Bada Bada on the upside is very dutiful. They're very lawful. They're very supportive. They can be wealthy. They're very family oriented. But on the other hand, I've seen them get involved in some crazy motherfucking shit. So this actually, she's got like 3 or 4 yogas. First of all, she's got yogas that suggest she can be wealthy. Okay, so don't get it twisted. But she's got some yogas that are telling her that she's got a whole nother side to her. And this is part of why I intuitively wanted to know what the word Jhene means. Because if you have all these really weird yogas in your chart, talking about you being wicked, you being cruel, talking about being ignorant of right and wrong, of course you're going to ask yourself, am I God's child or am I the devil's angel? To which the answer to that question is God is gracious, because that's what Jhene means. Jhene means God is gracious. So that's like the answer to the question that she might have in her heart. Am I a good person or am I a bad person? Am I the devil or am I the angel? And the answer is God is gracious. That means that God loves us all, and there's nothing new under the sun. There's nothing that you haven't done. I'm not talking about just to Jhene. I'm talking to myself. I'm talking to anyone who's listening. There's nothing you haven't done that God hasn't already seen. So don't think that, not to minimize like people's downside, but even in the Bible it says your battle is typical. And that should be very, very comforting, actually. Okay, moving on. Yeah. Isn't that interesting how she's got so many very, very, very kind of harsh placements? I wonder if she gets along with Rihanna. When you have such a masculine kind of harsh chart like this, oh God, it's just ironic. It's ironic is what it is, because on one side it's sattvic, Sattvic, sattvic or sattva. That on one hand, this is very spiritual. This is very this is someone who desires cleansing through fire. So she might have indulged in like what's it called? Like sacrifices, not babies or anything, but like some type of spiritual, like what's it called? Rituals. She might have been involved in like spiritual rituals, stuff like that. Yeah, again, I just keep bringing you back to that scene in Goodfellas with Ray Liotta. He was going back and forth between making pasta, being in the kitchen, cooking for his family that's coming over, and going to the garage to kill that man. Again, it's gangster ass activity. I just keep seeing it. Now, here's something weird that I see. I see her living in the forest. I see her living in a very rural environment, because she's got a Kuta yoga. She's got a Pasha. Okay, I already read the Kuta yoga. She's got a Pasha yoga. That's a Sankhya. Let me look at that. Pasha yoga, large family, and we already talked about large family because we talked about Jupiter coming from a large family. Skillful in earning wealth. So yes, again, wealthy. I talked about wealth before. Now here's interesting. Listen to this. Crafty, impolite, likes living in the forest. So that's like the third yoga that I'm seeing about her living in a motherfucking forest. Many drawbacks. Pasha means bondage. And it's so funny because her Saturn is in the second house. Saturn is the denier or the delayer, and the second house is the home life. So this could mean that when she was in growing up and something in her home, there was something very constricting in her home. Maybe it was very strict, or maybe it was very just very intense. It should have been, it was an environment that was way too harsh for a little girl. You know what I mean? Maybe it was an environment that was way too not, that wasn't nearly as tender enough, as forgiving enough, as loving enough as it should have been. Yeah. And then it says, for the Pasha yoga, indulges in worldly pleasures and creates spiritual bondage. That's also very interesting to think about too. It creates spiritual bondage because she's a spiritual person. So it's almost like kind of saying that she really went through it as a child. And this chart has the ability to like transform into something better. And Porta Pada has that ability. They have the ability to transform into something much cleaner, much higher frequency, but not without first going through something really, really, really intense. That's why mythically this star, Porta Pada, which is a star in Aquarius, they have to like go through a lot of shit first before they kind of have this transmutation. And a lot of times it can literally and physically manifest into some type of fire. Jupiter has that effect. Jupiter lights shit on fire. What can I say? Like my house burned down a couple years ago, and it was during my Jupiter dasha. And like Jupiter just does that. This is why Jupiter can be very hellish, because when we think of hell, we think of fire and brimstone. Jupiter itself, Jupiter has so much sulfur in it that it literally burns. Like Jupiter is very hellish, which is very interesting. Okay, the other thing about living in the forest was she's got Rahu conjunct Moon, and she's got Rahu in the fourth house. Rahu, remember, like I said, fourth house. Remember I said about fourth house. Fourth house is the mother and its security. It's all because it's the mother. It's also the home, and it's also the homeland. So you can think of your home country as fourth house, stuff like that. So when you have Rahu people, I don't know what's wrong with them. They're crazy. Rahu people, honestly, sometimes I wonder if Rahu people have autism themselves, or if Rahu people have a little bit of Asperger's or something. Something's up. ADD, something. There's something there. On one hand, it makes them very, very, very creative. And what you might not know about this lady is that it's also very good with engineering and math and science. But even with all their math and science skills and knowledge, they'll still use it towards being creative. So there's so many yogas and placements in her chart suggesting that she's going to live kind of a more of an isolated lifestyle, or live more in the forest, but still she's going to use her creativity to create like, it's not like, for example, if she wants to put a fence around her house, she's probably going to do it herself. She's probably going to design it herself. She's probably going to, she may even like, collect scraps, like pick up, some scraps from around, the countryside. These people tend to live in the countryside, not even gonna lie. and kind of make her own fence. You know what I mean? Or if she does order the lumber, she's gonna order the lumber. She's gonna tell them to put the lumber off to the side, and then she'll cut it herself. She'll cut the wood herself. She'll like build her fence herself. This is what Rahu people do. So again, like this is the act of using your math and science and analytical skills to create something. So she create. So it's like Rahu people are very smart like that. My uncle is Rahu, and you know he's a dickhead, and but he's very creative. They will take old homes and like rebuild them, or they will take a shell of a house and make it into a beautiful home. They're just so creative. In speaking intuitively, if I were to give this lady any advice, I would tell her first of all, I love her name, and to always meditate on her name because it means God is gracious. She's got so much gangster activity here. She's got so much Jupiter, so much sun here that it's like, you know what? It's almost like she was a gangster in a past life and then she was reincarnated into this beautiful black female's body. But really, inwardly, she's like a fat Italian gangster, and she's a man. That's like kind of what it's saying, and it's so funny because Rihanna also has this energy, and Rihanna is not afraid to express her masculinity, is she? Bitch, better have my money, and then she, and then she, will dress hood, and she's not afraid. Rihanna don't give a shit. But again, Sun women are so beautiful. Who's more beautiful than Rihanna? You know what I mean? So Sun women are very, very beautiful like that. This is not a lunar chart. Lunar charts are very mystical. They are very magical. They're very intuitive. They're very psychic. So I kind of thought she would have lunar charts, but she does not. She does not. This is a very mystical chart, but for other reasons. And it's very inclined at it's a nice structured chart too. So it's not like she's like me because I'm a very intuitive person. She's actually more structured than that. I really encourage her. I'm sorry, I know I'm kind of going off. I'm not really making sense right now. But I encourage her to look up Clarinacti Porva Bhadrapada, because there's a lot there. These women are very strong. They're very they can be wealthy. They can be very powerful. I've seen them act like a femme fatale. I have. Okay, guys. Again, this is a very interesting chart. I'm glad I looked at it. And yeah. Okay, bye.